the Deputy Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Madison Sheehan.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge the attack that happened in Dallas this week at our ICE facility and acknowledge the fact that we're praying for all the victims as well as the law enforcement officers that responded to the scene and acted heroically to continue to save more detainees' lives as we've seen footage come out in the recent days, but also working with the FBI throughout this investigation as we release more information to the American people. So with that being said, I want to acknowledge why we're here today. Today we're here to announce a historic agreement with the state of Florida, a 287G program that started on January 20th, thanks to President Trump. After the passage of the Big Beautiful Bill, we were able to put in historic funding into our 287G officers. This is funding that can go straight to equipment, to the work that's being done out on the street, and to other supplies and resources that our officers need. The state of Florida has truly put up historic numbers of support for our 287G program, with over 4,700 officers statewide executing arrests on criminally illegal aliens, to include a Mexican citizen that was arrested by the Highway Patrol for DUI, battery, disorderly conduct, and the list goes on, including a Polk County arrest of somebody convicted of fraud over $20,000, including had been removed from the United States more than 3 times. We also have a list of arrests here from Mexican citizens, including possession of methamphetamines, burglary, resisting arrest. We have Venezuelans with a list of drug paraphernalia and large amounts of drugs in their possessions. We've had misuse of passports, fraud, misrepresenting themselves, concealing of dangerous weapons, and the list goes on and on. But then to Governor DeSantis' commitment to the people of Florida, we truly have a historic partnership, a partnership that we don't see anywhere else nationwide, a partnership that has made it a priority to make sure that President Trump's immigration policies and enforcement is enforced every single day. And I always remind people that the men and women of ICE enforce immigration law as it's written. They all go out every day to remove the worst of the worst from the streets of America. That's gang members, murderers, rapists, and the people of Florida are grateful for the work that Governor DeSantis, his state troopers, sheriffs, and everyone statewide continue to do on a daily basis. And so today we're going to announce funding that was able to go to the state and local law enforcement officers that will affect their bottom line and help them with more equipment, more transparency, and be able to affect immigration law nationwide. This is a partnership that we're here to brag about, a partnership that Governor DeSantis has made a priority, so that way we can let everyone know how important it is to be a part of our 287G program. This program not only goes after targeted criminal aliens, but it also goes out and looks for the unaccompanied minors who crossed the border in the previous administration. We know that we have over 100,000 to 500,000 minors who cross the border, and we are looking for those minors every single day, and we have worked to locate those nationwide, but in the state of Florida, we've seen a huge partnership with that, and I'm grateful for the state to be able to make that a priority and work with us. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Governor DeSantis, who's been a huge supporter of the men and women of ICE, who has had our back throughout this entire process, but also has gone out and done the work that's necessary for the American people and for the people of Florida to keep safe. Governor DeSantis?
Thank you. Well, thank you, Deputy Director. Welcome to Tallahassee. There'll be a lot of folks here watching TV tonight to see Florida State against Virginia, and I can tell you if they take care of business, next weekend is going to be wild here. It'll be undefeated Miami coming in, and probably the most significant game we have had in this state in a long time. I see JD, our lottery secretary. He played for the Seminoles in the glory days, and like last year, every time he'd see me, just shake his head because, it was tough, but the year before was great. So people are really excited about that, and so, we wish them well tonight, and next weekend will be pretty crazy here in the Sunshine State. I also, just because, this is the type of guy I am, I do want to wish our First Lady a happy wedding anniversary, because that's our 16th anniversary today. Last year was 15. That's a pretty big milestone, and so I had all this great stuff planned. I mean, I really was planning something great, and those plans got interrupted by a young lady named Helene, who came screaming down the west coast of Florida, and that was really difficult. And then we had to deal with Mr. Milton after that, and so that was a 4 to 6 week blur that we weren't able to do. So happy 16th anniversary to Florida's First Lady, my wife, Casey. We love you. And I also want to thank everybody who's here. I see a lot of folks here in attendance who are working very hard on this. Mark Glass from FDLE has leaned in tremendously. They were right there with Director Kerner signing a 287G agreement literally on day one. As soon as DHS was in place under Donald Trump, they were ready, willing, and able to do that and step up. And I think our state agencies have really led the way on so many of this stuff. I also see our Chief Financial Officer, Blaise Ingolia. I want to thank him for what he's doing. He's helping within the confines of his office on the illegal immigration issue, but he, as a senator, really helped draft the legislation that we've put in place over these years that makes Florida the most effective state in offering support for the Trump administration in this really, really important mission. You may see him out and about now. He's tussling with some of these local politicians about, do you need to spend this much? Why not reduce people's property taxes? And I know people want to see a lot of relief on that. I also see Kevin Guthrie, Division of Emergency Management. Now, they're doing great stuff with some of the processing and detention leading into deportation efforts, both Alligator Alcatraz as well as the deportation depot. I know they're working on a Panhandle Pokey, and who knows what else after that. If it can be mission critical, we want to be helpful. But the fact that he's here today means that we haven't seen any violent change in Invest 94, because I told him, I said, they say it's not going to hit us, but I just, so he's monitoring that, and obviously we'll be monitoring that going forward. So, and there's other people here doing great stuff, so many great sheriffs throughout the state of Florida. I think it's really appropriate that we're here at the Florida Sheriff's Association. I mean, Kerner was just down in Brevard County with Sheriff Ivey. They got like 400 in a 4-day operation, 400 illegal aliens that were arrested and will be processed out of this country. Just incredible cooperation, local, state, and federal. So I'm glad that Florida stepped up for the 287G. I'm glad we imposed a legal duty, and the Attorney General was quarterbacking this as the Chief of Staff in my office when we did the special session. But the reality is, we do have a lot of folks that would want to be helpful. But when you have that duty, we say, here's the standard, all hands on deck, this is mission critical. That has been really important. And other states, I think, could learn a lot by what Florida's done in that situation. But when we've done all this stuff, it's funny because you'll have people in the media, they never talk about how much money is being spent on liberal initiatives. It's just like you never want to mention that, right? But on anything with immigration, it's like, oh, how much does that cost? This, that, and the other thing. And the reality is, and what we said from the beginning is, this is supporting an important federal mission. These things, like the detention facilities and stuff, those are going to be reimbursable. Our sheriffs are going to be able to get reimbursement. Our state agencies are going to be reimbursement. And some people tried to say that that wasn't going to happen. And I think today, with these checks, this is just the beginning. It's showing we're stepping up, doing the right thing. We're putting our folks through the proper training. We're doing all this, but we have a great working relationship with both the Trump administration writ large, but particularly DHS and ICE, and they're doing what they said that they would do to be able to support all these agencies. And so the mission continues on this. I think we've got a lot of momentum. I mean, I was just able to visit the deportation depot within the last few weeks, I think, and the cadence of flights has picked up there. The cadence down at Alligator Alcatraz has picked up. And I said from the beginning, I don't want to be like, the New York City model was take somebody here illegally, pay for them to be housed in a luxury hotel indefinitely. We don't want that. We want ICE has to go through process, and so we can be helpful for the processing, staging, and then provide them a pathway to be able to return the illegal aliens to their home country. And so that's what we're doing. And we, of course, won in court on Alligator Alcatraz. I know they're going to keep filing lawsuits on anything we do, but we're very confident that we're going to continue to be in the right on all of that. So thanks a lot. It's really been a great effort. And I can tell you, with the leadership that we have at ICE, with Tom Homan being there, all the different things, and obviously President Trump's vision and policy that he set out at the beginning, the difference between where we're dealing with in 2025 compared to 21, 22, 23, 24, I mean, it couldn't be more stark. We were in a situation where ICE was getting no support from the White House under Joe Biden as president. There were illegal aliens released based on administration policy. You know, we had people that were victimized by criminal aliens because of the lax attitude, well, actually the intentional attitude of the Biden administration. Times have changed. This is an important mission. You have all hands on deck, and we want to make sure that coming to America is done lawfully. We want to make sure that our borders matter and that the laws of our state are upheld. And the final thing I'm going to say is this. Florida is not Portland. If you think you can go and launch attacks against ICE agents in this state, you got another thing coming. We will hold you accountable very swiftly and very severely. The people that are working for ICE are being charged with enforcing the laws of the United States of America. You know, we have a process where if you don't like those laws, you can elect people that will try to change those. But what you don't do is take the matters into your own hands and launch attacks against people that are simply doing their job. And I was here for the 4 years when the border was left open, laws weren't being enforced. They never changed the law. They never actually delivered. They wanted an amnesty, but they never did it in law. It was a de facto amnesty because they knew if they campaigned on that, they would lose even worse. And so the American people have spoken. They want the border enforced, and they want interior enforcement of the laws of this land. And that's what the men and women who work for DHS are doing with our support. It's an important mission, but it's a mission that flows from the laws that are in place in this country and the election results that occurred in November of 2024. So we stand with the folks who are wearing the uniform. We are not going to tolerate any of this that you see in some of these other jurisdictions. And so just be forewarned, if you want to take a pot shot at an ICE agent or any law enforcement, you are going to have severe consequences. And one of the fellows that will be responsible for ensuring that the state continues that is our Attorney General. James Uthmeyer has done as much in a short period of time as anyone I can remember who's been serving in that office. And of all the issues that he's tackled, and there have been very many, I don't think you have an Attorney General anywhere in the country that's been more strong on helping advance President Trump's agenda on securing our border and making sure our immigration laws are enforced. And so it's an honor for me to be able to bring him up to the podium now.
Thank you, Governor. Florida is all in on helping the Trump administration to deliver on their promises to secure the border for once and for all and to detain as many illegal immigrants as possible and get them back where they came from. All of our agencies working with all of our state law enforcement, all of our sheriffs, and that only happens because of the leadership of Governor DeSantis at the top. The tone is set, we have our orders, and we're going to carry them out, and we will deliver for the Trump administration. It's amazing what happens when you enable law enforcement to actually enforce the laws. We've got record crime lows here in Florida. They keep getting lower, and it's because we get it. If you support law enforcement, if you give them the tools they need to be successful, and then let them go do their job, they will protect our families and they will keep us safe. Just last week in Polk County, we announced over 240 arrests in a human trafficking child predator sting, and 48 of those arrested were illegal immigrants. 48. Every week we have one of these stings, whether it's drug trafficking, human trafficking, and there's always a large number of people that are illegal immigrants. And it shows, it highlights the dangers that came in through the open border, the large amounts of crime that came in through the open border. Now, not everybody is malicious that's here illegally, I get that. And to those people, I say, take the federal government up on their offer, the $1,000 and the free flight back to where you came from, where you remain eligible to come into this country lawfully. And for those out there that are evil, that are malicious, here in Florida, we're coming for you. Now to our leadership at ICE, thank you. It's been a great partnership. I reiterate what the governor said. If anybody out there is trying to intimidate, threaten, or obstruct the ability for our federal law enforcement partners to do their job, we will be watching and we will hold you accountable. We launched a partnership with our state police and ICE where if people are doxing or revealing personal information about these federal agents or their families, we're going to be there and we're going to hold you accountable. That is against the law. And by God, if you injure or attempt to target one of these officers, we will prosecute you to the absolute fullest. So I conclude by thanking our law enforcement. We've got the best state law enforcement, the best sheriffs in the country. They work together every day to make this the safest state to raise a family. It's been an honor to have their backs. Our highway patrol is up and down the state. You see them on the side of the road. You see them doing the Lord's work, enforcing the law, and it's an honor to support them. So with that, I'll introduce Director Dave Kerner that oversees the highway patrol.
General, thank you for that introduction, and given my present company, there's really not much more that I can add to this dialogue, but I do want to take a moment because there's a part of my job and my responsibilities that I cherish, and that's being a part of this initial effort in the state of Florida to lead the nation in immigration enforcement, and that is happening because of the leadership of our governor, who's been the tip of the spear, leadership of our president, and just incredible partners at ICE, at DHS as a whole, Border Patrol. The governor mentioned that I just returned 2 hours ago. The colonel and I were on the ground in Brevard County with Sheriff Wayne Ivey. We apprehended over 400 illegal immigrants in 4 days. It wasn't just state troopers, it was agriculture officers. Colonel, excellent job. ABT agents, secretary, doing amazing work. It's FWC on the coastline doing their mission. It's FDLE targeting these criminal illegal aliens and going and grabbing them out of their places of work or home, wherever they're at. Lottery was out there with us. It was an amazing experience. But I say all that to say that we cherish the opportunity to be a part of the creation of this amazing program. It is working. We did 404 days. The Florida Highway Patrol alone probably eclipsed 5,000 since March of this year. When we go back and look at the numbers, it's probably going to be over 5,000 as of today. The Department of Financial Services, special agents were out there with us as well, Mr. CFO, and we appreciate their contribution. Our commitment to this mission is sincere. We have created a full-time immigration enforcement unit in the Florida Highway Patrol, perhaps the first one at a state or local level in the nation. But what was astounding and amazing to the colonel and myself was how many troopers applied to be in those 20 positions. I believe it was over 100 or more applied. It's because they believe in the mission so much that they want to do it full-time. Nearly 2,000 of our troopers are 287G certified, but we have a core passionate group because they see what this epidemic has done to our communities. They see what it's done to the quality of life. They've seen what it's done to officer safety and the safety of our families. And so we're very serious about this mission. Our troopers are starting to experience doxing as well, and we're going to start seeing that throughout the entire state and local law enforcement space. Director, Deputy Director, our commitment to you, and Garrett knows this, Garrett Ripa, the Field Office Director, we have your backs 1,000%. We will stand with and by your agents and your officers every day, and we're honored to do it. The only way that we are able to apprehend so many people in such a short amount of time is because of the partnership with the Florida Highway Patrol and our state law enforcement and our local county sheriffs and the Department of Homeland Security. We work as one team, and this model is really becoming very effective here in the state of Florida. We hope, and I think I speak on behalf of everybody in this room, we hope to see other states adopt this posture in immigration enforcement. And then the final point that I'd make, especially with the CFO here, with the Florida Agency for Financial Oversight, we are honored, deeply honored to receive, I think it's $13.6 million today on behalf of the Florida Highway Patrol. not just because we can use those funds to make our operations safer and more effective, but that it's an investment in the right thing, and it's a recognition from the President, from you, from the Department of Homeland Security, that we are doing a good job in the state of Florida, and we're honored to be on the team. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's my honor to invite Sheriff Hardwick from St. Johns County, who just his agency alone, as I understand, over 700 independent 287G arrests, leading from the front. Thank you for being here, Sheriff.
Good afternoon, everybody. Governor, Deputy Secretary, AG Director, our Executive Director from the FSA. I'll be honest with you. I had a notebook here where my entire staff, Logan, worked on prepared statements. If you know who Rob Hardwick is and how we do law enforcement in St. Johns County, it's a waste of time reading it to you. I'm going to tell you from the heart of what is going on in the state of Florida. And I'm going to tell other states to pay attention because it starts right here. For us to stand side by side because we're missing people that are standing shoulder to shoulder with me. This colonel right here, this CFO right here, this FDLE man right here, our FDEM director right here. We stand shoulder to shoulder in the state of Florida. And Governor, it starts with you, sir. We got directions from the President of the United States to move forward with a mess that we had going on that was happening the previous 4 years. And we rolled our sleeves up in the great state of Florida, and all 67 sheriffs, no matter what your political background was, your race, creed, color, religion, sexual orientation, age, we stood side by side with the governor of the great state of Florida and said, we are all in, ma'am. We're all in the 287G program. I think as of today, 4,700 law enforcement officers in the state currently hold what they call a DIO status, Designated Immigration Officer. That's our partnership and commitment. But what we also did, sir, was we stepped up with our federal partners and said, you're going to reimburse us. We've heard that a lot of times, Deputy Secretary, before the President of the United States was current in office. And the governor supported us financially over the years because we never could wait for any more funding. We just drove forward with the mission. But, ma'am, you have stepped up. And a lot of these agencies, and I know it's not you, it's you and your amazing team, but we have got paid over the last 4 days, 3 or 4 days, with more coming in. The deputy or director says $13 million for our troopers, unfunded liability. But that's exactly what happened. But as we work together on this mission is not over. We're at the beginning of a long journey together. Our law enforcement officers are being threatened, shot at in the state of Texas, trying to murder us. We're not backing down in the state of Florida. I recommend the other states take a picture of what's going on today. Our governor stands behind us. The Deputy Secretary of ICE stands with us. Our CFO, our Commissioner of Agriculture, our AG's office. We stand shoulder to shoulder in the great state of Florida. So here's to my brothers and sisters that don't have the privilege of working in my state, our state, Governor DeSantis' state. I recommend you get on board because you're behind the 8 ball. Our federal partners are sitting there with a checkbook ready to write. It's not lip service. It's real. We're not here for a photo opportunity today. We're here to tell you it's going on. It's actually happening, and we're being reimbursed. Governor, on a personal note, my wife, Kendall, and I got to thank you. The First Lady and yourself have been nothing but hands down supportive of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and our vision of what we got going on. It's been personal, sir, and you've taken care of us. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to the legislators. You've been phenomenal to the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, but more importantly to our law enforcement in the state of Florida. Our Senate President, our House Speaker, it's a special thing we got going on here in the great state of Florida. Again, Deputy Secretary, thank you for giving us an hour of your time upstairs where she physically listened to some of the things that we can make better. And she didn't make a promise, she made an agreement. We'll make it better, Sheriff, and I know you will, ma'am. Without further ado, ma'am, I know you asked to come back to the podium, but thank you. God bless America, and God bless the free state of Florida. God bless America.
With that, I'll announce the exciting part. So thanks to President Trump and Secretary Noem's big, beautiful bill, we are able to give out $1.7 billion to state and local law enforcement. Today, I'd like to present a check to the state of Florida for over $28 million and to local law enforcement for over $10 million.
we going to do?
In front of the lawn.
Oh, right over here? Great job, guys. You want it?
With that, again, thank you all for coming today. The governor and I, as well as the sheriffs up here, will take a few questions related to 287G.
Florida had applied for reimbursement for alligator Alcatraz, and I was curious if you were anticipating that stopping operations in any way because of potential environmental abuse that you feel support alluded to.
So alligator Alcatraz is actually funded by a FEMA grant that the Biden administration used to bring aliens into this country. We're using it to remove criminal illegal aliens, but I'll turn it over to the governor to provide more information about alligator Alcatraz.
Well, so this is something that is it's the Dade Collier Airport. It is not a federal facility, and it is being staffed and run by folks under state control. So we don't have to do an environmental impact statement. There is no environmental impact because that would conflict with our overall policy agenda that we've spent so much money to help restore the Everglades and actually have done more than anyone's ever been able to do. And President Trump's helped on that, by the way, because we did a deal this summer with the Army Corps of Engineers where they're delegating some of these projects to us. We can move quicker. So we already opened one of the pump stations. We're going to do another one very soon. Under Biden, this was going to take till 2034. We're now moving that 5 years earlier where we'll have these SERP projects completed, and that's amazing. So we're doing great work there, but this is just a way to try to throw sand in the gears. This was a very liberal judge that did this. And so if you look at what the appeals court did, they stayed the injunction, which we obviously expected, but they did even more. They took the case away from the judge for now, because I think that the appeals court knew this judge is up to no good. She's going to try to manufacture something to try to throw sand in the gears of this. And so that judge has the case totally taken away from her purview. It is going to go to the 11th Circuit. Look, we will win this eventually one way or another. By the time this winds its way through, who knows what will even be necessary at that point. But that was not good. Now, what I would say to DHS is, yes, we know that's not true. We know we know the state doesn't need to do it. But I think our view is we'll just go ahead and do one real quick. I mean, in this way, it totally moots, even if they have a 10% chance of winning, it'll moot that out. But they're not going to do it. And I said when this happened that the result would be the result. And for people that follow what we do in Florida, this is nothing new. I mean, I can list you things. I could be here for 30 minutes listing examples of when trial court judges have said something that we did is somehow wrong, and then it goes to appeal, and we win on appeal. And that is, we have a very good track record on appeal at the 11th Circuit and here in the state courts in Florida. So I don't think that that's going to end up. That district judge's opinion was rightfully stayed. I do think it'll be fully reversed. But even before that happens, she doesn't have any jurisdiction over this case, and I think that's very important.
What's the status of the reimbursement for alligator Alcatraz, and once that comes through, however much it is, won't that change the state control?
I don't think so, but the reality is what I said from the beginning on this. We will get reimbursed eventually. Sometimes these things, although I saw Tom Homan the other day, and he's just like, send us your reimbursements. We got a lot of money now. We want to help you guys. So that'll happen, and I know Kevin is working with them on doing that. I don't think it really changes anything because it's still state property and it's a state mission. I mean, just think about it. Almost any state institution can sometimes get some federal funding. I mean, universities, law enforcement agencies. So what? They're going to have to do environmental impacts? Of course not. Federal government doesn't have the jurisdiction to impose that on us. That'd be commandeering. So you don't have to do that. So I don't think it's going to really change things. But at the same time, they have time where they could do a very quick impact statement. That's the thing. It was portrayed in the media like, oh, they're stopping it because there's actual environmental concerns. No. It was a report. It was a procedural thing that the judge hung her hat on. And I don't think it's valid, but I also know that if they were to just do it, we know what the result of that report would be, and then it kind of moots out that argument. And there's going to be other things that they're going to try to, try to do on this. But I will say the cadence is good out of there. They're moving detainees out of there. They're moving people out of deportation depot. What's the cadence of the flights at deportation depot, Kevin? Pretty good, right?
Next week will be at 5 a week.
5 a week. So there you go. That's up there in Baker County, up in Northeast Florida. So, this is what it's really all about. It's a great partnership. And again, we don't decide who goes to these facilities. That's ICE. But then we have the ability to help process, offer them an off-ramp to go somewhere else or go back home if they don't want to go, and then have them staged so that DHS can take and fly away. At Alligator Alcatraz, that's very easy because that's like 2,000 feet away. You just take them to the runway. At Baker, you got to move to Lake City. They've also done some stuff out of Jacksonville, Cecil Field. It's not like it's a huge burden, but it's just a little bit more with having to do the transport. But that cadence has been very, very positive. And so this is a really good example of locals cooperating with state on a mission, but then the feds cooperating with us to be able to get this done. And it really is a model, I think, for the rest of the country. And I've said the reason why I did this back in January is because I said, President has a mandate on this issue. He's articulated a vision. Just with what the federal government has now at the time, even with more resources now, they are not going to be able to achieve that vision if local and state are not on board with this. And so we viewed it as really important that we did it. I don't think it could be fully successful in Florida without our police chiefs, our sheriffs, and our state agencies working in lockstep, and that's what we're doing.
How many people are currently being held at Alligator Alcatraz? Are there any women and children?
It's all military age males, I think, at this point. And the census goes, it varies. But what I will say is we're getting to the point where the folks that get processed in there, there's a pretty quick turnaround. And that was the vision from the beginning. My job is not to just put people up indefinitely. That's what they were using those funds to do in Manhattan. That's why people would go visit New York City. It was hard to get a hotel room. When people went to the Army-Navy game in Foxborough a couple years ago, the veterans couldn't get hotel rooms because the Massachusetts governor put all the illegals in these hotels, and we're doing it at taxpayer expense. So that's not our vision. Our vision is to be able to help. Now, what ICE has to deal with, there's a lot of bureaucracy involved with this. And, it makes the issue tough because you can have a president like Biden open the border, neuter interior enforcement, 10 million people come in. Then you have a president elected, President Trump, on the agenda to clean that up and stop it. But it's not as easy as just snapping your fingers. It's easier to violate the law and let them in than it is to enforce the law and get them out, because there's all these different things, regulations, bureaucracy. And there is due process. People say there's not. They are getting due process because there's lawyers, there's a whole bunch of stuff involved. So it's a big maze that they have to deal with at DHS. So our role is to really help facilitate that. We understand that they just can't just find someone on the street and immediately. They do have to go through a process. That's the whole reason why we're doing all this. But we want to make it as efficient as possible so that we can get the job done. Do you have anything more to add before you head up? So, but this is very quick turnaround. I mean, for the federal government to turn around money this quickly, I don't know that that's ever happened in that. And so we're appreciative of it. But honestly, we did expect it because I knew when we would talk to the administration, this was something that was not questionable. They were going to be there. They were going to be helpful, and they appreciate everything that we're doing in the state of Florida. So I hope everybody has a good weekend. What is it, 7:30 kickoff tonight in Charlottesville? Should be an interesting game. Take care.